Okay, we're doing another video. We are doing a rock tumbler video. So this is going to be the complete beginning here. I'll show you what we're putting in, and then we're going to tumble them, and then I will show you how they come out, and we'll take a good look at them. So I have two 5-pound barrels here, and I have two separate bags. This is a collection, basically Chalcedony nodules. A lot of them are agates because they have water bands, so they're bubble casts and limb casts, and you know, they're from eastern Oregon, from the deserts where once there was volcanic mountains and stuff that have eroded away, and in that volcanic rock there's little bubbles of air and stuff, and in the mud pots there was little bubbles of air. And sometimes things fell in and became fossils and lines. But this is the beginning of them. They are Chalcedony nodules. They're pretty, translucent, not transparent. And so we're going to go through this bag. Some of them, yeah, that's one. So it was buried that far in the dirt, so it has dirt and algae on it. But that's just a big old crazy thing. Probably an agate. Yeah, I see water banding in there. So that's how they start. You can clean them up like this and keep them like this, or you can put them in the tumbler and they get a little more clear. And then this is a whole other jar that we have been working through on the quest. So we're going to go ahead and put that in this one and do that. These are from the same location. Yeah, these just never got cleaned up. And then time flies. So that's what we're going to do with them. Pulling them out of the back of the drawer and putting them in this tumbler load, and then we will look at them all. Man, some good ones in here. So that's one load. There's the befores of it. These will come out pretty cool. They look pretty plain now, but just a few moments your time, and about a month and a half my time. So we'll swapping out of grits, we will be there, and we'll see what these look like. So that's one load. This is all my little guys that were left. A couple big ones. One's more quartz than Chalcedony, but from the same location. And I'm sure it'll probably have some little water lines. It's got druzy cavity. This one is completely milky on one side, but then has a cavern of druzy. Big old chunk of Chalcedony. It's probably got fine water lines that'll show up. Right now they're almost not there. Just to give you an indication, I'm not going to spend too much of your time on this part. But I wanted you to get it into your minds the before. All the little pockets you see are where they were embedded into the rocks around them, where they filled a cavity, and so that's the imprint of the stone that they weathered out of. Pour those in there, we'll put water in there, put the first level of grinding compound onto them. And away we will go. We'll give it about, a week. We'll check it after the first 3 days, and then 3 days after that, on down the line. Till I think that the outside is shaped down to where I like it. We won't go too much with them, because some of them are very small. And then we'll move on. There's a limb cast right there. Some of these might pop out on the 3rd day and then wait for the final polishing. That one might just come out now. In between stage 1 and stage 2 here, and what I'm beginning to see is that we have such small pieces. I left these in for about 9 days, and they definitely are shaped down as much as we want. That's how I think of stage 1 grit in tumbling is the shaping down and removing of the outside. We have enough of that. So this is where you make a decision. There's always the recommended days that you would leave something in the tumbler for, but if you see that the stone is soft, that the mineral is soft, and that the forces of the grinding compound are acting on your stones quicker than other stones, or let's just say that they're going at a really fast pace compared to some other harder kinds, then you can modify the day count. You can, it's always good to take it off and check, you know, in between. You can just pull a few out, but whereas I might wait 7 days for a harder stone, on these I'm going to go ahead and only probably do 3.5 to 4 days, not leaving them in any longer than that. So we're going to do a good look at these here in a little while in the video when we are all the way done with the polishing. This is what they look like semi-damp at this stage. So now it's into the tumbler barrel again. I gotta clean a little bit more of this grit out. You don't want to contaminate the next finest layer of grit with the last one, because then you'll just be adding rough stuff in there, and it's, you know, it's counteractive, counterproductive to what you're trying to do. Same thing with scrubbing your stones off. So getting dollar store colanders or scrubbing them like I've done here is a good trick. The other thing is, don't rinse your stuff down the drain. Don't put all of your polishing compounds and your ground up rock dust down your drain, because it tends to build up in your pipes, and it's not a good thing at all. It's really hard to get out of there. Okay, we're done with stage 1 of the tumbler load for these Chalcedony nodules, these little agates. Some of them are actually classified as agates. They're mostly just clear blue of the Chalcedony family. These came from Nevada, Oregon borders, and I can see that the compounds have acted on them really quick. So we're going to go ahead and shorten up the amount of days that we leave these in the tumblers for the next 2 stages, so that they don't wear down in size any more than they have, and we just accomplish the polishing that we want to get them that nice classy finish. So they go back into the tumbler now, put the next compound in there, and then probably do 2 or 3 days. So we have the contents of 2 barrels, both barrels of these Chalcedony nodules that I'm not going to show them too much to you right now. We're going to put them back in for one more series, probably about 8 to 12 hours of tumbling. I like to put mine in with these little shredded pieces of terry cloth, about a handful or so to a barrel, and they're going to get all kind of mixed in with the rocks, and a little bit of soap, not too much, but enough to get down in there, and they're going to do our burnishing process. It's going to scrub all of the little pores clean in these rocks that have a little bit of the polishing compound in them still. And I picked out these 4 big ones so that we could put the contents of 2 barrels into this last one, into a single one I mean, and go ahead and put it back on for the night, and then we'll be ready to show you the results of this. Of course, I skipped a few scenes of me putting in the different grits at the different stages, but we are about to do the reveal. Be right back. Okay, so this is that fun moment when we get to finally look at everything. I try to not spoil it for myself too much when I'm going through the steps, so I'm enjoying this with you right here. I have gone through and laid them out, so that's been my first eyeballing, so I've gotten little glimpses of each one of these, but we'll go ahead and go through a whole bunch of them and try and do some close-up shots. So these are agates, basically. That's what I would call the whole lot if somebody had to ask me, because a majority of them have some indication of waterline, of growth line. They are all Chalcedony, of course, as all agates are in the Chalcedony family, and some of these being so pure that I can just not see any of the fortifications in between the layers, and it is, you could just consider it a pure Chalcedony nodule. I'm calling them nodules because that's the shape of them. They are definitely gas bubble formed agates. I do not believe this particular batch to have come from volcanic rock. So when lava is formed, oftentimes there is little voids and bubbles left in it in the ages after. Minerals that are nearby in other rocks and seeping through with rainwater and groundwater can find those voids and run into those areas and fill the cavity up. And so what you have is a casting, basically. And so the minerals seep down and fill each bubble up or each space up. Sometimes if it's a different type of rock, when you hear me say crevice agate, that's because it's a type of rock that is broken or has crevices to it, cracks, lines in it that are more vertical and flat, and so those areas, of course, are going to fill in with the same minerals. And then over time, either we come and chip them out with our chisels and hammers, or rivers and other forces of erosion pop them out of the host rock, the rock that they've been growing in, forming in. And what we find is the agates, the nodules, the castings of what those bubbles were. So in this particular spot, the reason why I'm calling these nodules is because they weren't in a volcanic host rock where it was air bubbles. I would say these were more likely bubbles and voids that were left in some sort of mud or sedimentary rock somehow. It was very white, chalky material, maybe the calciferous ooze layers of some ancient ocean floor that had formed a white chalk. And so that's where you get usually flint nodules, which is, you know, really close to a chalcedony or a chert. It's like their cousin. It's the trifecta of things that form in similar ways and can cross-reference into each other. Not to go too far into that, but so these were not coming out of a basalt or any sort of lava rock or igneous rock. These were coming out of a very distinct dome of chalk, like a bluff, a rounded hill of chalk out in Nevada, and all of their shapes indicated that they were more like bubbles, more like mud pockets left over to me, and every 100th one was a branch casting. So that's like a fossil, but filled in with chalcedony, filled in with agate. So basically something had to have fallen in mud, because that wouldn't happen in lava, in my opinion, like a branch, an organic branch, and rotted away, left that void as a fossil will do, and then was filled in with other minerals, in this case chalcedony, and we end up with a limb cast. So this is very close to the Virgin Valley. So it's one of Nevada and North America's highest silicate, opal, hydrosilicate zones. It's where we get our stabilized black opal that compares only to like Black Ridge in Australia. This is that same area. So a lot of it is sediment and old ocean floors. That is my hypothesis on how these were formed. I believe them to be bubbles, voids, pockets left in either a calciferous ooze, something that would form a chalk sediment layer eventually, or some sort of bubbling up melting pot mud world where hydrothermal vents and things like you see in Yellowstone National Park would be going on. It was a small enough bluff, and it was kind of stood alone as being rounded and white, and could very well have been the core of something like a huge mud pot volcano-like thing, you know, 4 acres across or something, way in the past, and everything having eroded it away, and these being the little Chalcedony agates, nodules left over from all the castings of the voids. And that's would explain to me why there was little branches mixed with so many little uniform bubble shapes. And if you've ever sat around a mud pot watching it bloop and branches fall in it, yeah. So let's go ahead and continue to look at some of these closer up. I don't want to make the video incredibly long, but we put 2 full 5-pound barrels together here in the cleanup, and so it's quite a batch. Just kind of going through these one by one, looking for little things inside of them to show you. Checking out the yellow and the blue mix that's going on inside here. It's the same thing that would make a precious opal, but just not set up in the same way in its molecules. Same color play, same beautiful color play. Destroying my little thing here as I pull them out, but that is okay because it was just a one-time little fun thing. I like to set everything out, look through it like that, do the little display. It's a whole other little appreciation. Feels really fun to do. And it took about 40 minutes. See, fine little see-through lines in there. But otherwise you wouldn't know. Just pure. whole nother selection here. Grouping them together by size and purity a little bit. For everybody who has stayed to this point in the video, I appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed. I have 4 tumblers going again right now. Many things going on. Just give me a thumbs up if you like the video and you want me to do more. Plus, that helps the algorithm and other people know that I'm doing something good over here at the channel. And that is always appreciated. And they're halfway from a mineral or rock to a gem now, because we have worked them into something that could be made into jewelry. And if you look at the befores and then you look at the after on these, you can see just how much was covered by their external skins. On a lot of these you couldn't see into them at all. So this seems to be like the quickest and most efficient way so far to be able to just mass process through bucket loads of stuff. I wish I had a super big tumbler. These are the largest that I can put in. You gotta mix them in with littler stuff so it's effective still. But if you look at what they were before and you look at what they are now, they're instantly more of a commodity, they're more of an asset. You know, collecting rocks, you can end up with a lot of raw material, and this was just 2 barrels, probably like a whole, you know, coffee can of really rough looking stuff. And just, you know, that's the short of it, is that they have all been made more pretty. Not that rocks aren't beautiful in their natural state, but now I think anybody, even somebody who does not appreciate them for their mineral value, can more easily appreciate them for their beauty, for their shine, for their glow, for what they have inside that was kind of hidden by that rough surface. So that sure would make a nice little feel good as a little bead bracelet. It's pretty soft stuff too. You can drill through it pretty quick. Okay, I think that we have pretty much gone through this goodness. So thank you for checking it out with me. Thank you for taking your time to stop and look at this. And please come back to the channel again and see what we're getting up to. Please take care of yourselves and take care of each other if you get the chance. Quest on.